going to learn about respiration as the next characteristic. What are the other characteristics, children? So far what we have learned, we learn about growth, we learn about nutrition, and what is the other one? Yes, we learn about movement as well. Okay, here we are going to learn about respiration. What is respiration, children? Do you know about respiration? Some of you know about respiration. So most of the time when we ask what respiration is, most of the children will say that is inhaling and exhaling, or very simply that is breathing. Remember, children, from this year onwards you are going to learn a different definition for this respiration. You are right, when you are small we learned that respiration is breathing or inhaling and exhaling. Remember, here we are going to learn the most correct definition, okay, the most correct way to explain what respiration is. Okay, look at this. Respiration. Oxygen in the air, once breathed in, reacts with the food stored in the body and produces energy. This process is called respiration. Right, children? This produces energy and this whole process is known as respiration. Not only inhaling, exhaling, not only breathing. Remember, so what is respiration? Now we all know that we have to produce energy in order to do our day-to-day activities, even to do the simple activity like lifting your hand. You have to produce energy. Our bodies have to produce energy. So how does our body produce energy, children? There's this way. Now you know that we eat food and the nutrients given by this food is stored in your body, right? At the same time, when we inhale or when we breathe, we take a lot of oxygen into our lungs. From our lungs, through blood, this oxygen is given or oxygen is transported throughout the body, right? So this oxygen reacts with the food stored in our body. Now oxygen reacts with food. So what will produce afterwards? When food and oxygen reacts with each other, it produces energy. Okay, so this whole process is known as respiration. So respiration is the way your body produces energy, the way your body produces energy. How does that happen, children? The energy is produced by combining oxygen you inhale and the food you eat. Understand? So the entire process is known as respiration, not only breathing. Now we all know that breathing or inhaling and exhaling is only part of this respiration. Only other incident takes place in this respiration process. Right, children? So remember, oxygen in the air. Now oxygen is important factor for respiration. Oxygen in the air, once breathed in, we take them in while breathing in, inhaling, reacts with the food stored. Reacts with the food stored in the body and produces energy. The entire process is known as respiration. So if you are asked to define, if you are asked to explain what respiration is, how do you say? Hereafter would you say that is inhaling, exhaling? Or hereafter would you say that is breathing? No, never. We are going to explain it in this way. Understand, children? Right. So the process of respiration, during the process of respiration, we take oxygen in, we inhale oxygen, right? Remember, it says that we take oxygen in, but when we inhale, the entire air goes into our lungs. It contains oxygen and other gases as well. But here in this process, only oxygen is used. There what happens? Oxygen in inhaled air reacts with the food you eat and it produces energy. So the whole process of producing energy is respiration. It produces energy and something else is also produced. What is that? That is carbon dioxide gas. Okay? Carbon dioxide gas. Oxygen is also a gas. Write it down. So oxygen gas combines, so reacts with the food stored in your body and produces energy, and as an extra product, this is known as byproduct, you will learn it later, as an extra product, carbon dioxide gas is produced. Now this carbon dioxide gas, it shouldn't be inside our body. We have to remove it from our body. So how do we remove this carbon dioxide gas, children? By exhaling. Understand? So respiration is oxygen. Where do we get oxygen? By inhaling air, right? You get oxygen by inhaling. You inhale oxygen, it reacts with food in our body, food stored in our body, and it produces energy, plus as a byproduct, as an extra product, carbon dioxide gas is produced. Now this carbon dioxide should be removed from your body. How do you do that? By exhaling. Okay, you exhale carbon dioxide. Do you understand? I will show it here. Now, this is a human. He inhales oxygen. Here, look at the arrow. It goes towards this side. He exhales carbon dioxide. Understand, children? What about the plants? What about the trees? They also do the same. Okay, children? Trees or plants also do the same. We can't see them inhaling, exhaling, but they also take oxygen in and send carbon dioxide out. Because not only animals, plants also need energy. So this is the method of producing energy organisms. Understand, children? So animals and plants during respiration, they take oxygen in, and this oxygen reacts with the food stored in the organism bodies, and it produces energy and carbon dioxide gas. Now carbon dioxide should be removed. That is done by exhaling. Understand, children? Now we all know that apart from this respiration process, plants do another process. It's like the opposite of this process. What is that process, children? Do you remember? That is photosynthesis. So during photosynthesis, what happens? I'm going to write it short. Photosynthesis. What happens during photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is a process only done by plants, that is the production of food in plants. So during photosynthesis, the opposite happens. Remember, plants take carbon dioxide in. What is released, children? Plants give oxygen gas out. Understand, children? So, animals and plants during respiration. Now, this is the respiration process. Respiration process. During respiration, both plants and animals, they take oxygen inside and release carbon dioxide. Understand? Apart from this respiration process, plants can do photosynthesis in order to produce their food. So during that process, carbon dioxide is taken in and oxygen is given out. Understand? Now this process, this is done by only trees, this photosynthesis process. This process is very important to maintain the balance in the environment, right? Balance in the atmosphere. Which balance, children? Carbon dioxide and oxygen balance. So during this respiration process, oxygen in the atmosphere, oxygen is taken in, carbon dioxide is released. Just imagine if this photosynthesis process is not there, one day, only if the respiration process is there, what will happen one day? All the oxygen in the environment will be consumed and there will be a lot of carbon dioxide. So we will not have enough oxygen to inhale, right? But here, because of the photosynthesis process, it releases oxygen and extra carbon dioxide is taken in during photosynthesis. So it's very clear, because of this presence of trees, because of the photosynthesis process, it gives out oxygen which is important for us to inhale. So that is why we say we have to protect trees, we should not cut down trees, we have to save our environment, save our trees. That is because of this process, children. Understand? Okay. Right, children. Now we are going to discuss about respiratory movements. What is the meaning of respiratory movements, children? Have you ever seen how a small child is sleeping? Right. Let's see. Now this is the child sleeping. Okay. When a small child is sleeping like this, what do you observe? Have you ever observed the chest and the abdomen goes up and down? Even when a dog or cat is sleeping also, you can observe their chest and abdomen goes up and down. Am I right, children? So why does this happen? I'm sure you know that this happens because when they breathe. So these type of movements are known as respiratory movements. Understand? So during respiration, our chest moves up and down because of the process of inhaling and exhaling. So this process is known as the respiratory movements. Understand? Remember, children, plants do not show any respiratory movement. Now, if you go out and look at a plant for hours and hours, will you see this type of movement, children? You will never see these respiratory movements. Understand? So, plants do breathe, but they do not show respiratory movements as animals. So, that is one main difference between plants and animals. Animals show respiratory movements and plants do not show respiratory movements. Understand, children? So we have this assignment to do. I will help you to do this, but you all have to do this by yourselves to understand this better. What is this assignment? Observe and report the respiratory movements and respiratory organs of different animals. Now, if you look at the environment, there are so many different types of animals. Humans are there, right? Dogs, cats, and those type of mammals. Who are the mammals? Mammals are the animals who drink mother's milk. Understand? So reptiles are there. Who are the reptiles? Snakes and turtles, they are coming under reptiles. Different types of fish kinds are there, right? So we have to observe and find out what are the different ways that they do this respiration. Observe and report the respiratory movements and respiratory organs. Now you can find information from books or internet, from videos, you can find more information. I'll help you to go through these respiratory organs. Now if we consider us, humans, what are the organs we have to do respiration? Humans? Yes, we all know we have lungs. Okay, so humans' respiratory organs are the lungs. Okay. What about other mammals like cats, dogs, etc.? I will write cats. They also have lungs. Okay. Even birds have lungs, children. Right? What about a frog? Or toads? Frogs and toads? What do they have? They also have lungs. Remember, children, apart from lungs, when we consider these frogs and toads, they have a wet skin. Their skin is very moist. Okay, so because of that, atmospheric oxygen, it can dissolve in the skin, and through the skin also they can perform this respiration. Therefore, apart from lungs, they use their skin as well as respiratory organs. What about fish? Now, when it comes to fish, children, fish doesn't have lungs. They have special structures called gills. Remember, lungs are specified to respirate using atmospheric oxygen, But when it comes to fish, they live in water. Therefore, there's no way for them to take atmospheric oxygen. Atmospheric oxygen means oxygen present in air, right? So their surrounding is water, their medium is water. So oxygen is dissolved in water. So they have to have different types of structures or organs in order to respirate, right? So that is why they have something called gills, some structures called gills in them. Understand? What about insects? Most of the insects are, let's say a beetle. Let's say a beetle. How do they respirate? Remember, now they don't have lungs, but they have a special type of structures called spiracles. What are these spiracles? If we take their body, insect body, they will have basically three parts: head, thorax and abdomen. Okay, so in these parts there are tiny holes in their body. These are known as spiracles. Okay, so through spiracles they take air in and send air out. Understand, children? So if you read so many books, you will see different articles. If you read, you will see there are so many other examples as well. Okay, you all have to read them, find your own knowledge. It's really important to find things by yourselves when you learn science. Okay, I hope you will be a good scientist. So we'll move to the other one. This is also for your extra knowledge. The patients with respiratory difficulties are given oxygen artificially. You have seen in ICUs, okay, differently with the use in a special mask, oxygen is given. That is because they are sick and they can't inhale and they can't take the atmospheric oxygen. Understand? So that is why oxygen is given artificially. So oxygen should be given, otherwise they will die. Also, mountain climbers and divers use artificial oxygen, right? So in these higher mountain areas, and also when you dive in deep water, the amount of oxygen present is very low. That is why they have to take these oxygen cylinders with them. Okay, when they climb, okay, when they climb mountains and when they dive in deep water, so those areas they don't have enough oxygen percentage. Therefore, they have to carry oxygen cylinders with them in order to inhale. Understand, children? What can we see here? Something very interesting. We are coming to the third experiment in grade 6 science. So you all know that how to do an experiment, how to write down the steps of an experiment. What is the first step? Yes, that is experiment. What do you write under experiment? This part, you have to write the topic or the title of the experiment that we are going to do. So here, finding out whether exhaled air contains carbon dioxide, right? I already explained you, when we inhale, we take a lot of oxygen in, and during the process of respiration, we send carbon dioxide out. Now, what is the process of respiration again, children? During respiration, we inhale oxygen in, that oxygen reacts with the food we eat, and then it produces energy. Along with energy, something else is also produced. It is known as a byproduct or extra product. What is that substance? Yes, that is carbon dioxide. And I told you carbon dioxide should be removed from your body. Otherwise, it will be toxic in the body, right? So how do you remove this carbon dioxide gas? That is by how? Exhaling. Understand? So in this experiment, we are going to find out, we are going to prove that carbon dioxide contains in our exhaled air. Okay. So the experiment is step 1, finding out whether exhaled air contains carbon dioxide. What is the second part we have to write? That is materials. Materials means the things we need in order to do this experiment. Right, children? So we need 3 things here, children. What are the 3 things? Now, what is this? This is something called, this instrument is known as a beaker. This vessel is known as a beaker. Can you see a liquid present here? we have to use a special liquid, okay? That is known as lime water. Right, children? What is this lime water? What do you think? Remember, this lime water is not the lime juice taken from a lime fruit. Okay, this is also lime, that is also lime, but this is a different lime. What lime is this, children? This is a chemical substance. It is known as calcium hydroxide. You are going to learn it later. You don't have to memorize it. Remember, this lime water is not the lime juice you take from the lime fruit. This is another chemical substance. The substance present here is something called calcium hydroxide. Okay, so you are going to take this lime water sample here. So this lime water is colorless, just like water. When you look at it, it will just look like water. I will write it here. It is colorless. Okay. And next you need, what is this? It's a drinking straw. Drinking straw we need. And what is this? That is also a glass vessel. This is known as a test tube. Understand, children? This is a test tube. Test tube is a type of glass vessel. So we need these three things. So I will explain what we have to do in order to carry out this experiment. We have to take little amount of this lime water or calcium hydroxide into this test tube. Okay. Then we have to insert this drinking straw into the test tube. We have to take a deep breath, and then we have to bubble that exhaled air, the air we send out. We have to bubble the exhaled air into the test tube, into this lime water using the drinking straw. Understand? So we have to write down the steps now. So what is the third stage when we write an experiment? What is the third stage? Method. You can see here, this is how we do this, children. Right? Now this child is bubbling his exhaled air into this test tube with lime water. Understand? We will write down the steps now. Step 1, put some lime water into the test tube. What is the second step, children? What do we have to do next? We have to bubble exhaled air into this lime water sample using the straw. Exhaled air into lime water using the straw. Put some lime water into the test tube. Bubble exhaled air into lime water using the straw. Understand? So now we are going to do the experiment. Okay, children. Now we are going to check whether the exhaled air contains carbon dioxide. So do you remember I explained that we have to use a certain chemical in order to check whether this exhaled air contains carbon dioxide? Yes, this is that chemical. Now this is calcium hydroxide, which is known as lime water. It's a common name. I told you this lime water is not the lime juice taken from the lime fruit. This is calcium hydroxide. Can you see? It is just like water. It is colorless. So what do we have to do now in order to check whether that exhaled air contains carbon dioxide gas? Now this is the test tube. I am going to take some lime water, as I explained you before. Now what do we have to do in order to check carbon dioxide gas? Yes, you have to use in a straw. Here I am going to use a glass straw. I am going to bubble my exhaled air into this test tube. So you have to observe what happens here. Okay children, can you all see that this color has changed into off-white, or even you can sometimes say milky white, right? I am going to compare these two colors. You can see now this is the original lime water, this is colorless and this is white color. So remember children, the only gas that can turn this colorless lime water into this white color is carbon dioxide. That is why we can use this experiment to check only carbon dioxide. Okay, I hope you understand. Did you see the experiment? Did you see what happened when we were doing the experiment, children? We are going to record the observations now. Now you all know that writing the observations is the next step of the experiment. What are the other three steps? The first three steps, children, we have to write down the title and the experiment, then we have to write down the materials, then we have to write down the steps and the method. So then we are writing the observation. So what did you observe while I was doing the experiment, children? So I showed you how I bubble exhaled air into the test tube using this lime water sample, right? What happened to the lime water sample? What was the initial color of lime water? Yes, that was colorless. When I bubbled exhaled air, what happened to what was the change happened? It turned off-white, or you can even say milky white or milky color, right? So what happens here, we are under the observation, we are going to write down what we saw in the experiment. Okay, so observation, colorless lime water turns off-white. This is the observation. This is what you could see. Colorless lime water turns off-white. Now then conclusion. The last step of the experiment is conclusion. What do you write under conclusion, children? You have to write what you can conclude. What is the decision you can come up with, or what can you decide after doing a certain experiment. Now we wrote down the title and we used different materials, and we, according to the certain method, we carried out the experiment, and we recorded observations. So after doing all these steps, what can we decide at the end of the experiment, children? That should be written under conclusion. Now remember, children, when we do this experiment, change of color in this lime water from colorless to off-white. Remember, children, there's only one gas can do this change. Understand? Only one gas can change colorless lime water into off-white. The only gas which can do this change is carbon dioxide gas. Understand? So that's a fact. You have to memorize it as a fact. Right, children? So the only gas which can turn, or which can change the color of lime water, which can change the colorless lime water into off-white or milky color, is carbon dioxide gas. So how did this happen? Colorless lime water turns off-white when we bubble exhaled air. Understand? So that happens because of something, or carbon dioxide gas present in the exhaled air. Therefore, we can decide, we can come to a conclusion that our exhaled air contains carbon dioxide gas. Without a doubt, we can come into a conclusion after doing this experiment. Understand, children? So we are going to write down that one under conclusion. So the conclusion is carbon dioxide gas is present in exhaled air. So look at these children. Our experiment is finding out whether exhaled air contains carbon dioxide. Using these materials, we followed all these steps and we observe what happens. Colorless turns into live off-white color, and because of that we can decide, we can come into a conclusion that carbon dioxide gas is present in exhaled air. Do you understand, children? I hope so. Now we are going to discuss about the last characteristic of living beings, reproduction. What is the meaning of reproduction, children? Look at these two examples. You all can see the first example here. It's a bean plant. So this bean plant, it has these bean pods. In the bean pods we have bean seeds. So we can get a new plant, new bean plant by planting bean seeds. Okay, so you can consider this is the mother plant. So using the mother plant you can get seeds. By planting seeds, you can get new plants. So this is the first generation. This is the second generation, the next generation. Right, children? Look at this one. So we can see there's a hen. It lays eggs. A chick comes out of the egg. And one day this chick will again grow into a hen. And it also will lay eggs. And another small animals also come out. Okay. So this is the first generation. This is the second generation. What happens here, children? What will happen? So here you can see its life continues. Its species continues. The same kind continues throughout generations, from one generation to another generation. Okay? Just imagine if this bean plant doesn't produce pods and doesn't produce new seeds. Can we get a new plant out of this bean plant? No, we cannot. So is there any way to continue the generation or this kind of bean plants in the future? No. Right? Same goes with these animals. They have to produce their next generation. If they do not produce their next generation, what will happen? That particular generation will stop from there. Right? So new organisms will not be there. So organisms present today, if they do not produce their new kinds, they will die and we won't be having any other organisms. Right? So what is reproduction? It is producing their own kind or new generations or new living beings which are known as offsprings, young ones. That is known as reproduction, children. Understand? It is obvious that every organism dies one day or the other. So for the continuation of the living world, to continue life, continuation of the living world, it's essential to have new generations, to produce new kinds. So a matured living being producing new members of the same species. Bean plant can produce only another bean plant. It cannot produce a mango plant. Understand? That's the meaning of this one. So a matured living being producing new members of the same species is known as reproduction. So reproduction is also one important characteristic that is shown by living beings. Have you ever seen non-living things produce their own kinds? Now when you go into the classroom, today you have 20 desks. Tomorrow when you go into the classroom, will there be 40 or 50 desks? No, they cannot produce their own kinds, right? Only the living things or living beings can produce their own kind. So we discussed about 5 different types of characteristics of living beings. What are those 5 characteristics, children? I hope you remember. We learn about growth and we learn about nutrition and then about movement and then respiration, and here we discussed about reproduction. So you all have to study this really well, memorize things and do the activities, and you will understand this very well. Right. Now we know what are the characteristics of living beings. Next we are going to discuss about the differences between plants and animals. So you all know that plants and animals are coming under living organisms. Understand? But at the same time, even before I mention this, even though they are coming under the same group called organisms, there are so many other differences between plants and animals. Under this part, we are going to learn what are those differences of plants and animals. So, first of all, before we go to that part, I would like to explain about diversity of plants. What is the meaning of diversity, children? Now, I think it's a new word for you. Some of you may know, but it's a kind of new word. What is the meaning of diversity? Diversity means differences, right? Different features, differences present in organisms. They are known as diversity. So under this part, we are going to learn about diversity of plants or plant diversity. So if I mention a plant, you will picture a big tree. Okay, that is what comes to our mind most of the time. But do you know that there are so many other differences between plants, children? So because of so many reasons, there are differences between plants. So here we are going to learn diversity among plants based on morphological features, based on living environment, and based on nature. Okay, children. So first we are going to discuss about diversity based on morphological features. Another new term now. What is the meaning of morphological features? Morphological features means, children, structural features, structural characteristics. When you look at a plant, you know it's how its stem is, how its roots are, how its branches are, or how its leaves are, flowers, fruits, etc. Right? So when you look at these things, there are differences. If you take two trees, let's say if you take a mango tree and if you take a coconut tree, they are different. The type of leaves are different and the way its stem present is different. Okay, shape of the leaves are different. So there are so many differences. Morphological features means structural differences of these organisms. Understand? Structure or the characteristics you can observe externally from outside. So the next one, based on living environment. Based on living environment, any organism has a specific environment to live in. Now let's take us, we live in the land. So we are terrestrial animals. Okay. So a particular environment of a certain plant or animal living is known as its habitat. Another new term. So based on the habitat or based on the living environment, there are so many differences between plants. We are going to discuss about that as well. Okay, and based on nature, there are some big trees as I mentioned you before, there are some small trees, there are shrubs, herbs likewise. So we will see under each topic. Look at this one, based on morphological features. What can you see here? There are different leaves. Different shapes are there. Look at this one is a long one. Look at the shape of this one. It's another one. Look at the differences between the margin of these two leaves, children. This has a smooth margin. This has a serrated or a wavy margin. What can you tell about this leaf? Now these leaves present as single units. Therefore, you will learn later as well. These are known as simple leaves. Look at this one. Now this entire part is one leaf. But you can see it is divided into parts. These type of leaves where this leaf blade is divided into different parts, they are known as compound leaves. So the leaf blade is different and this has a different shape. Okay, so this is how when we take leaves, based on their structure, different shape and everything, there are so many differences. There are differences between plant leaves. What about these flowers? Different flowers are there. Different colors, different shapes. Now this has 5 petals, this also has 5 petals, but this rose has many petals, right? So shape-wise different, color-wise different, even the fragrance also different. Understand, children? So these are morphological differences in these leaves and flowers. Now we are moving to these fruits. Look at these. Mango, watermelon. Look at these different patterns present. in the skin of this watermelon. Look at the shape of this rose apple. Okay, this is round, this is also round, that's a different shape. There are so many differences. Color wise, they are different from each other. And next we are moving to the seeds. Seeds also, there are so many differences. Now what is this? You all know this. These are green gram seeds, right? Here we have pepper seeds and mango seed. It has these fiber, hair-like structures, but the others don't have. Look at the color. And you all know that this pepper seed, it has a rough nature. But green gram seeds, you must have done this one by now. You know that this is a smooth one. Likewise, there are so many differences, children. All these things are coming under morphological features. Understand, children? What is this? These are plant roots. Now, you will learn in the upper grades as well. When we take plant roots, there are two different types of root systems present. When we take a plant, there are two parts present in plants. The underground part and the part which present above the ground. This part is known as the shoot system and the underground part is known as the root system. So when we take the root system, there are two different types of root systems, children. Okay, look at this one. You all can see this has a main root goes like this. One main root, okay, and the other roots start from this main root. Can you see, children? So this type of root system with a main root and other roots which connects to this main root is known as taproot system. Taproot system. Now look at this one, children. Can you see any main root here? Just like here, you can't see. You can see all these tiny roots, they arise from this point. This type of root system, where no main root present, where all the other roots arise from the same point, this type of root system is known as a fibrous root system. Right, children? So now you all know that if we take roots also, there are morphological differences, there are structural differences. What about the plant stem, children? Now you all know that some plant stems, they have branches like mango, jack, guava. But what about a coconut tree? Coconut trees, do they have branches? They don't have branches. They only have leaves like this. Right? So root-wise, leaves-wise, and if you take fruits or even stem-wise, when you take, you know that there are so many differences between each other. So all these things are coming under morphological differences. Now what are the morphological differences? The structural differences, what you can observe from outside. Right, children? Differences based on nature of these plants. Now look at these plants, children. You can see a small plant, a big tree, it's a tall coconut tree, creepers or vines are there, a bush is here, right? So when you look at the plant, there are differences based on the nature. Okay, the nature means some are big trees or large trees, some of them are bushes, some of them don't have branches, some of them have branches, and sometimes herbs also present like Cupamania, Monerakudumbia. They can be considered as herbs, small plants. Okay, and grass, it has a different nature, right? So there are so many differences between the plants based on the nature as well. So all these things we are discussing under diversity in plants. Understand, children? So based on living environment. Now I already explained you living environment of a certain organism, a plant or animal is known as its habitat. When you look at the environment, you see there are some plants in ponds and other aquatic environments with water. And there are so many other plants in the land, live on land, right? And other plants, when you go to beach areas, coastal areas, there are some other types of plants present. Okay, so they are different from each other based on the environment they live in, children. Okay, so look at this one. This is a terrestrial environment. Terrestrial environment means land environment. Terrestrial environment. If you look at the plants or trees live in this terrestrial environment, you will see they have certain set of features. They have a strong root system to fix into the soil, right? Likewise. But when you look into the plants which are living in water or aquatic environment like this, okay, aquatic environment, most of these plants have another set of features. For example, there's this plant called Vallisneria. It has long tape-like leaves. Tape-like leaves. So because of this adaptation, because of this characteristic, when water currents present, these leaves don't break. It can move through the water currents nicely. Understand? So these type of different set of characteristics are there when you compare this aquatic environment or plants live in the aquatic environment to plants live in terrestrial environment. What is this environment, children? Do you know about mangrove environment? Now, mangrove environments can be seen next to these coastal environments. In lagoon areas, in estuaries, you will see this environment called mangrove environment. Mangrove environment. Okay. So, the specialty of this mangrove environment, children, their soil is not very firm. Okay, their soil is partially covered with water. Therefore, soil present in these type of areas, they don't have enough oxygen mixed with soil. So, in that case, different types of features present in the plants grow in this type of environment. For example, now I told you these plant roots, they don't get enough oxygen because the soil present in this mangrove environment lacks oxygen. Therefore, these plant roots, if this is the soil level, sometimes these plant roots, they grow up from the soil. And these tiny plant roots, they have tiny holes. Now, they don't have enough oxygen in the soil. Therefore, oxygen can go through these tiny holes present in these special roots. You can see these type of roots. They are known as breathing roots. These type of roots can be seen in the plants in the mangrove environment. So, how different it from this set of plants to and this set of plants? It's a totally different type, right? We'll move to the other one, coastal environment. Coastal environment. So, what are the plants you can see in coastal environment? You can see coconut and pandanus. Now, this is a pandanus plant. Can you see, now, if you take the stem, this is the soil level, ground level. So, can you see these stick-like structures? So, most of these pandanus trees you see in coastal areas, they have these stick-like structures. These are special types of roots which are known as stilt roots, right? These stilt roots support the stem. Now, you know that coastal areas, they have strong winds. So, in order to fix this plant to soil firmly, these stilt roots, they give an extra support to the stem. So, it's a kind of difference. So, it's very clear that based on the living environment or the habitat, there are so many differences between plants. Understand, children? Diversity of animals. Now, we discussed about the differences between plants based on the living environment, based on the structure or morphological features likewise. So, we are going to do the same with the animals, children. Diversity among animals. You all know that there are so many differences between animals. Now, if you have two dogs at home, even those two dogs, even though they are coming under the same family, there are so many differences even between them, right? So, diversity among animals, we are going to group them under the same way that we did with plants. based on the living environment or their habitat. There are different types of animals. Some of them live in the land, some of them live in the water, likewise. Based on the feeding mechanism, where they eat their food. Some of them chew and swallow like us, some of them chew and swallow, some of them swallow without chewing, and some of them chew and some of them suck nectar like butterflies, right children? And based on the type of food, now here the way they eat food, here the type of food we eat, based on the type of food we eat, there are so many differences among animals. You have already learned about carnivores, omnivores and herbivores. And based on external characteristics, morphological features, their color, their shape, their different appendages or body parts present, likewise. And based on the mode of locomotion, we discussed this one under movement part. Okay, we will see into it. Based on the mode of locomotion, we already discussed about this, so I'm sure that you understand this very well. So what are the different ways of locomotion? What is locomotion? Yes, locomotion means an animal or an organism moving the entire body from one place to another place. So how do they move their body? By different means. Now here walking or running also correct. By walking, by swimming, and by flying, by crawling or creeping. Right children? So we all learned that in order to locomote, in order to move the entire body from one place to another place, animals have different appendages, different body parts. Example here, we have legs for walking and running. What about swimming? In order to swim, a fish and aquatic animal, they have fins. And I explained you about the streamlined body shape as well. For flying, what do they have? Butterflies and other insects and birds, they have wings. What about crawling or creeping? Now they don't have any other body part. You can't see any, they don't have wings or legs or fins, etc. But they have their scales. Understand? So according to the way they move from one place to another place, there are so many differences among animals. Based on living environment or based on the habitat. Now you all know what habitat means. If we consider certain organism based on the place they live, the living place or living environment is known as their habitat. So look at this one, lion. Where do they live? They live in land. Therefore these are terrestrial animals. Terrestrial. And fish live in water. Their environment is aquatic environment. Okay. These birds, they most of the time fly. Therefore, they live in air or arboreal environment. Arboreal environment. So, when the environment or when the habitat changes, there are so many differences among the animals as well. Okay, so when they live in the terrestrial environment, they have to run very fast in order to catch their prey. So they have very strong legs. In order to eat meat, they have strong teeth. Likewise, aquatic environment, to move, they have fins and their special body shape. And in the arboreal environment, they have special beaks to eat their food, right? And they have these wings to fly, likewise. And also their body is very light in weight, likewise. So even based on the habitat or the living environment also, there are so many differences between animals. Now what is this? Based on external characteristics. What is the term? Morphological features. Look at these different types of animals. Now it's a fish. Look at the color, bright yellow color. This one is brown, okay? Color-wise, they are different. Look at the appendages, body parts they have. This has 4 legs, the tail is there. But this one has fins, okay? This one has short legs. Understand? This one has a beak, right? This one has fur. And this butterfly has wings and beautiful colors as well. So based on the external characteristics, look at the shape of the body. This one is like long. Okay, this one has the special streamline shape. Likewise, when you look at these animals, based on the external characteristics also, there are so many other differences. Now, this one has 2 legs, this one has 4 legs. Likewise, understand, children? And then we are moving to the other one, based on the type of food. What does this eat? It eats meat, therefore it is known as a carnivore. Right? And elephant is a herbivore. Depends on plants. And what about the bear? It's an omnivore. It eats meat as well as plant food items like honey. Therefore, this is an omnivore. Right, children? So, based on the type of food they eat, they have different other characteristics. I told you this one has to eat meat and it has to catch prey. Therefore, it has strong legs to run fast. At the same time, it has very sharp teeth to tear meat. So, this one is a herbivore. In order to eat leaves, it has a trunk. Okay, using the trunk, it can nicely eat leaves. Omnivore, this one, it has sharp teeth as well in order to eat meat because it depends on meat as well as plant-based food. Understand, children? So, there are so many differences between these animals based on the type of food they eat as well. So, I hope it's very clear that there are so many differences between plants and there are so many differences between animals based on different characteristics. Now we are going to write down what are the main differences between plants and animals. Now, do you remember when I was explaining these characteristics of living organisms, there are some times that I mentioned there are differences between plants and animals. Now, have a look. This side we have to write characteristics of plants. This side we have to write characteristics of animals. What are the differences between plants and animals, children? Shall we start to write? You also can start with me. You also can write your own answers. Okay. I am going to start with their growth. When we discuss about the growth of plants and animals, what is the main difference, children? I think you can remember. What can you tell about the growth of plants? Do you remember that we learned that plants grow throughout their entire lifetime? I hope you remember. But what happens with animals? Animals, they grow up to a certain time period and after that their growth stops. Therefore, we call that plant growth is unlimited, but animal growth is limited. We will write that first. Number 1, growth is unlimited. Here the growth is limited. Right. Number 2. Okay. I'm going to next consider about their nutrition. What can you say about the nutrition of plants and nutrition of animals, children? Do you remember that we learned plants can produce their own food by photosynthesis, but animals cannot produce their own food? What are the special names we gave to plants and animals based on that type of nutrition? Yes, plants are known as autotrophic, but animals are known as heterotrophic. That is because plants can produce their own food. Animals, they cannot produce their own food. They have to depend on plants directly or indirectly. We will write that. Autotrophic. They produce their own food. And animals are heterotrophic. Okay, they depend on plants directly or indirectly. Right, children? So when we discuss about the nutrition, when we discuss about the photosynthesis, we all know that plants, they have chlorophylls, that green color pigment present, okay? But animals, do they have green color pigment called chlorophylls? No. Therefore, I am going to take that as another difference. Chlorophylls present, chlorophylls absent or no chlorophylls. Right, children? So we discussed about growth, we discussed about nutrition. Now I'm going to take respiration. What was the difference that we discussed between the plants and animals when we talk about respiration? Do you remember we learned this special word called respiratory movements? Who can show respiratory movements? Only animals can show respiratory movements. Have you ever seen plants move when they inhale or exhale? No, we can't see that. Therefore, animals show respiratory movements, but plants do not show respiratory movements. We'll write that. Plants do not show respiratory movements. And animals, they show respiratory movements. Then number 5. I'm going to take the next one, movement. When we discuss about the movement of plants and animals, what are the differences? Do you remember we learned about locomotion under movements part? I hope you remember. What is locomotion, children? Locomotion means a certain organism move the entire body from one place to another place. Now, who can show locomotion, children? Yes, it's very clear. Only animals show locomotion. But can plants move the entire body? They cannot. They show other types of movements, but they cannot locomote. Understand? Therefore, number 5. Do not show locomotion. And animals, they show locomotion. Right, children? So these are the differences between plants and animals based on the different characteristics among living beings. Okay, children? Plant growth is unlimited, animal growth is limited. And plants are autotrophic, therefore they produce their own food, but animals are heterotrophic, therefore they have to depend on plants directly or indirectly. And number 3, plants have chlorophylls. That is why, because of the presence of chlorophylls, plants can show photosynthesis. Plants can produce their own food. But animals, they don't have chlorophylls. And plants do not show respiratory movements. You can't see any respiratory movements in plants. But animals, they show respiratory movements. Understand? And the last one, plants do not show locomotion. Plants cannot locomote. Plants cannot move the entire body from one place to another place. But animals, they can. There are different means of locomotion like flying and walking, etc. Understand? So in the upper grades, you are going to learn so many other differences between plants and animals. But for now, we are going to learn only this much. Understand, children? Now we are going to learn very important topic coming under this lesson, that is dichotomous keys. Understand? So before we go into these dichotomous keys, I am going to teach you about categorization of organisms. What is the meaning of categorization, children? Categorization means dividing organisms into different groups. So why do we have to divide, children? Why can't we learn about these organisms as it is without grouping them? Remember, when we group these animals and plants, when we categorize these organisms, it's very easy to study about them, children. That is why when we learn science, when we learn biology, we group or we categorize animals and plants based on their special characteristics. Okay, children? So, we are going to learn about dichotomous keys. That is one method of categorizing plants and animals or organisms. Remember, children, this dichotomous keys is not the best method to categorize these plants and animals. You will understand there are so many other better methods. You will understand them when you go to the upper grades. Okay? But as a start, we are going to learn about dichotomous keys today. So, what is a dichotomous key, children? Categorization of organisms using the presence or absence of a characteristic feature is known as a dichotomous key. What is this now? Categorization. It means grouping, dividing. Categorization of organisms using the presence or absence. Presence or absence. Remember, this is a key point. This is very important. Presence or absence of a characteristic feature is known as dichotomous key. So here we are going to discuss how to look at a certain organism, how to check whether they have a certain characteristic or not, and how to group them. Understand? It is more suitable. It is more suitable to use external features that can be easily observed. Easily observed. Remember, children, most of the children, when it comes to these dichotomous keys, most of the children, they don't get this right. They always make mistakes when it comes to these dichotomous keys. Now today, you all have to learn carefully. You have to listen very carefully what I teach here. You all can do this with me. You all can practice this with me, right? When you practice more and more, you will understand this better. Okay? So, it is more suitable to use external features. External features means what you can observe clearly, right? So, I am going to take an example. You will understand this very clearly when I go through the example. First of all, I am going to take some animals. We will take a dog, and I am going to take parrot, and I am going to take cobra. Here we have 3 animals, and I am going to categorize them using a dichotomous key. Remember, dichotomous key, di means 2. Every time you have to divide this line into 2 branches. That is why dichotomous key. Step 1, you have to divide each set into 2 sides, 2 groups. Now I did that. Number 2, step 2, you have to consider a certain characteristic that you can observe very clearly externally. Not something you know, but you can observe as well. I am going to take the presence of legs. Okay, so you can see some animals, they have legs. Out of these 3, some they don't have legs. Okay, so I am going to take as the first characteristic the presence of legs. Therefore, this side I am going to write with legs. With legs. So, if one side is with legs, the other side must be the absence of the same characteristic. So, it gives here categorization of organisms using the presence or absence of a characteristic feature. So, one side should be the presence, the other side must be the absence of the same characteristic. So with legs, if this side is present, the other side is absence. Here should be without. It should be without legs because the absence of the same characteristic. If you write this side with legs, other side you can't write without tail, without beaks, likewise. Okay, the same characteristic. If this side is with legs, the other side must be without legs. Understand, children? So who has legs? Dog. I'm going to take a different color here. It's easy to observe then. Dog. Who else? Parrot? Yes. Parrot. What about the cobra? No legs. Therefore, it goes to this side without legs. Cobra. Now look at this side, children. With legs, dog and parrot. This side without legs, cobra. The next condition is you have to keep on going till you go to one last animal or plant, one last organism. Understand? Now here we have two organisms together, two animals together. Here we have only one. Can we divide this anymore? Because we already have one animal. Can we divide this anymore? No. So this is the end of this branch. We have two branches. This is the end of this branch. We can't divide it anymore. Understand? But look at this one. We have two organisms, two animals in the same group with legs. We have to divide it till we go to one last animal, as I told you, right? So we will do it now. Again, you have to divide it into two parts. As I told you, each time you have to divide it into two parts, two branches. Okay? So we have dog and parrot, and we have two branches again. Again, in one side, you have to take the presence of one characteristic, and in the other side, you have to take the absence of the same characteristic. Understand, children? So we have dog and parrot. What are the things that you can observe, children? Now we have dog, it has 4 legs, and parrot has 2 legs, but at the same time parrot has wings and feathers. Okay, you can consider one of that. But any characteristic you pick here should be able to observe very easily, right? For example, now dog and parrot, if you write this one is herbivore and this one is omnivore, is it correct? No, you can't do that because that is their type of, based on the type of food they eat, we can divide it, but we can't use it here because by looking at the animal, you can't decide whether that animal is a herbivore, carnivore, omnivore. Understand? So there are so many things that we can observe, external features that we can observe. We can take one of them. So here I am going to take with feathers, and this side, what do you have to write? Can you write with beak? No. Remember, if one side is with, other side must be without. Okay? If this side is with feathers, this side you can't write with a beak or with fur. That is totally wrong. Right? So, if this side is with feathers, the other side has to be the absence of the same characteristic. So, you have to write without. Without what? A tail? No. Without feathers, the same characteristic. Okay? Without feathers. We'll take a different color. Who has feathers? Parrot has feathers. With feathers, parrot, and without feathers, dog. Understand, children? Now, can you divide this parrot anymore? There's only one animal present at the end of this branch. Can we divide it again? No. What about this one? We can't divide this one as well. Only one animal is left. So remember, this is the end of each branch. Understand? So it's very easy now. Isn't it very easy, children? When you do this along with me, you can understand it very well. And remember, you don't have to use the same characteristic that I used here. Now here I used with legs. Instead of that, you can even write with feathers or with wings. You can write what you like, but you can observe clearly. Okay, children. So here with legs, dog and parrot. Without legs, cobra. There are two animals here. Here only one. We don't need to divide this anymore. Here we have two. We are going to divide it into two again. Every single time we are going to divide it into two. So think that if you divide these three animals into three groups, like maybe carnivores, herbivores and omnivores, is it correct? No. This is a dichotomous key. You have to divide. Each time you have to divide them into two. Understand? So, condition number one, you have to write down the entire set of animals or plants here, and then you have to start by divide it into two. In one side, you have to write the presence of a certain characteristic, and in the other side, you have to write down the absence of the same characteristic. Okay? And you have to keep on going, keep on dividing till you go into one last animal, one last organism. Understand? I hope it's very clear, very easy. We will go see some other examples. Now, look at this. This is the same example given in the textbook. So, instead of giving the names of plants, they have given these lovely pictures. It's very easy to see and identify, understand. Okay? We have 5 different types of leaves here. Look at these leaves, children. Shape-wise, they are different. You can see the leaf blade here different way. Look at the leaf tip, it's very long. When you take this leaf, it has a blunt tip. Look at the leaf margin here, it's a wavy margin. What can you tell about these two leaves? Now, all these things are single leaves. This is one leaf, this is one leaf. This is also one leaf, children. What has happened? Here leaf blade divided into 3 parts. And this leaf blade is divided into many other tiny parts which are known as leaflets. Okay. So by looking at this, look at how we can divide it first time. Leaves with leaflets this side. The other side must be leaves without the same characteristic. If this is leaves with leaflets, this side leaves without leaflets. Now these 3 leaves, they don't have leaflets, they present as a single unit. Look at this one. Now this is one leaf. This is also one leaf. But this leaf has 3 parts, 3 leaflets. And this one has many leaflets, like curry leaves. So here this side we have 2 leaves. Leaves with leaflets, we have 2 different leaves. Leaves without leaflets, we have 3 different types of leaves. So can we stop from here? No. You have to go till you get one last organism under each branch. So again here this side divided into 2. I told you every time you divide it into 2 parts because it's dichotomous key. So divided into 2 parts, leaflets are divided at one place. Okay, this divided at one place. These leaflets are divided at different places. So you can see all these 3 leaflets start from the same place. Therefore, this leaf goes under this side. Leaflets are divided at one place. What about this? When you see, look at this one. See, leaflets present in different places. Not beginning with a single point. So this leaf goes under leaflets that are divided at different places. Now can you divide this one again, this side? We cannot, only one leaf is there. What about this? We cannot divide because there's only one leaf. So that is the end of this side. And we are moving to the other side. We have 3 more leaves to divide. Understand? So 3 leaves are present. Here divided it into two branches. Leaves with a pointed tip. Leaves without a pointed tip. Absence of the same characteristic. So, which leaf has the pointed tip? You can see here, this is like a bow leaf. And here these two leaves, they don't have pointed tips, they have a blunt tip. Okay, so leaves with the pointed tip, only one leaf comes under this one. So, can you divide this anymore? No, there's no way because there's only one. Look at this one, we have two leaves. Leaves without a pointed tip. So, again we divide into two groups. Leaves with wavy blades. Look at this one, this plant leaf. Leaf margin or leaf blade is wavy. And this one, leaves with wavy blades, and this side leaves without wavy blades. This one is smooth. Understand, children? So remember, after completing each dichotomous key, you should verify, you should make sure that under each end, only one organism is left. Sometimes you make mistakes, sometimes without you realizing, you will leave more than one organism under each branch, right? So make sure you have to double check after each dichotomous key, you have to double check whether under each branch only one organism is left. Make sure. Understand, children? So I hope this is very clear. Now we will see how we can divide some other animals using dichotomous keys. Look at this, children. We have a set of animals here. This is the same example given in the textbook, but we have some pictures here for you all to understand it better. So, who are the animals we have? We have parrot, earthworm, dog, centipede, deer, crow. Okay? So, what is the first step? We have to write them all together. And what next? We have to divide them into how many groups? Two sides. So, you can write the characteristic that you can see clearly, anything you like, but here they have given certain set of characteristics. And first they have taken here with four legs. The other side must be without four legs. The absence of the same characteristic. Okay, so who are the animals with four legs? Parrot, only two legs, goes to that side. Earthworm, no legs, goes to this side. Dog has four legs, dog comes here. Centipede, how many legs do they have? Centipedes have so many legs, hundreds of legs it has, right? Therefore, centipede goes here. Deer, definitely here, and crow goes to that side because it has two legs. So here we come to this side, we have two animals, it means we have to divide it again. Only one animal should be there at the end of each branch, understand? So we have two animals, dog and deer. This side with antlers, can you see its antlers? These branched horns it has, okay, it has antlers. And without antlers and without or absence of the same characteristic, therefore to this side without antlers. So deer has antlers, dog doesn't have antlers. Now can you divide this side anymore, deer or dog? You cannot because only one animal present at the end of each branch. Understand, children? So that is the end of that side. And we are moving to the other side. Without four legs, we have four different types of animals: parrot, earthworm, centipede and crow. And again divide into two parts. This side with wings, without wings. Right, children? So with wings we have crow and parrot. Without wings we have, who are they? Earthworm, centipede. They are like worms. They don't have wings. So each side we have two animals. This side with wings side we have crow and parrot, two animals. This side also we have two animals, earthworm and centipede. Right, children? So we'll go to this side, crow and parrot. Both of them are birds. So what are the differences? Look at the beak. With a curved beak, I'll draw it here. You all know that parrot has a curved beak. Okay, so they eat, it's a herbivore, they have to eat these leaves and they have to eat fruits. So because of the presence of this type of beak, they can eat fruits very easily. Okay, so they have a curved beak. It's very clear, you all have seen crows, they don't have a curved beak like this. They have a pointed one. Right, children? Therefore, with a curved beak, parrot, and without a curved beak, crow. Can we divide this anymore? We cannot, because there's only one animal under each branch. We'll move to this one. Who is this? Now, this is a centipede. If you haven't seen one, this is a picture of a centipede. And this is an earthworm. Earthworm is a very useful animal for farmers. We are going to learn about it in the other lessons. We have two animals, earthworm and centipede. We have to divide it into two parts because it's dichotomous key. So with legs and without legs. With legs centipede, I told you it has many legs. You can see it clearly. And earthworm, it doesn't have legs. It has a very soft body. Right, children? So, can you divide these two anymore? You cannot, because there's only one animal at the end of each branch. Understand, children? So, as I told you, after completing a certain dichotomous key, you have to make sure that you have done it right. So, I'm going to take a look. I'm going to look at these things and I'm going to check whether there are more than one animal at the end of each branches. Here only one, another one, and that's also one animal each. Understand? So make sure you start by writing the entire set of animals or plants given. Each time you have to divide into two parts, and one side should be the presence of one characteristic, the other side should be the absence of the same characteristic, and you have to keep on dividing till you find one last organism. Understand, children? So, you all can do this. You can practice this again and again. As I told you, this is one place that children make mistakes. Okay, children? So, don't make mistakes. Do more examples. Study this better. I'm sure you will enjoy these dichotomous keys. Understand, children? Right, children, we will see more examples regarding these dichotomous keys. We have another example here. Use a dichotomous key to classify the plants given below. Coconut, breadfruit, Monorecudumbia, paddy and amarella. So we will start to do this. You all can start with me. You don't have to write the same thing or same characteristic that I write here. Feel free to do it in your own way. Understand? So we will start. First of all, you have to divide it into two. So this side I am going to take with branches. With branches. And the other side should be the absence of the same characteristic. So without branches. With branches. Without branches. Right. Okay. What about coconut? Coconut tree doesn't have branches. Therefore, coconut here. Breadfruit? Breadfruit is a large tree with branches. Therefore, breadfruit goes here. Monorecudumbia, it's a herb, it's a small plant, but still it has branches. Monorecudumbia. Right. Paddy, no branches. Paddy. And amarella has branches. Right, children. This side we have 3 plants, this side we have 2 plants. So I am going to finish off this side first. Okay. So how can I divide these two things? 2 plants are there, coconut and paddy. I am going to take, again you have to divide into 2. One side presence of one characteristic and the other side absent of the same characteristic. I am going to take with the woody stem. Another side should be the absence, okay, without a woody stem. Without a woody stem. Now what is the answer, children? Which plant, coconut and paddy? Out of this coconut and paddy, which plant has the woody stem or strong stem? Yes, that is coconut. So this one coconut and this side paddy. Okay, children. Now can we divide this side or this side anymore? We cannot, because here we have only one plant. Even here we have only one plant. Therefore, we can't divide this side. We have completed this side now. We will move to the other side now. Here we have 3 plants: breadfruit, Monorecudumbia and Amberella. So I am going to take one factor. Now I told you Monorecudumbia is a herb, small plant, it's a herb, right? But breadfruit and Amberella, they are not herbs, they are trees, okay? So we will write that factor. A herb, not a herb. Absence, not a herb. So what is the herb? Monorecudumbia. Monorecudumbia. And breadfruit and Amberella, not a herb. Right, children. So Monorecudumbia side, we can't divide anymore because only one plant is here. So here we have 2 plants, therefore we can still divide this into other 2 parts, okay? So here I am going to take as the characteristic, I am going to take the type of leaves. Now when we take breadfruit and Amberella, have you seen breadfruit leaves, children? So what is the shape of the breadfruit leaf? Have you seen? Something like this. Right. Breadfruit leaf is something like this. Okay. And what about Amberella? Amberella, it is something like this. So by looking at these 2 leaves, what can you say, children? This is a simple leaf and this is a compound leaf. What is a simple leaf? When we consider the leaf blade is not divided completely. Now can you see the leaf blade? It is divided but not completely. From this side it is connected, right? But what about this one? The leaf blade is completely divided into tiny leaflets. Therefore, this is a compound leaf, right? So here I am going to take that factor. We'll do that. So what is the plant with compound leaves? That is Amberella. and without compound leaves, what is this? Breadfruit. Okay, children, did you understand, children? This was very easy, right? So after completing the dichotomous key, you have to check whether you have done any mistake, right? So at each branch, I can see only one plant is left. Therefore, I am sure I have done this right. Understand? I hope so. Now we are going to do this type of examples for animals. We will see. Use a dichotomous key to classify the animals given below. Dog, elephant, parrot, cobra, fish. Now, when we look at this set of animals, we know that there are so many differences among them, right? So, I will take first. I'm going to divide it into two. Now, I told you, you can do it in your way. You don't have to do the very same thing that I do here. Dog, elephant, parrot, cobra, fish. So, we will see. I'm going to take with 4 legs and without 4 legs. With 4 legs, without 4 legs. Who has 4 legs, children? Now dog, 4 legs. Elephant, 4 legs. Parrot, only 2 legs, therefore this side. Cobra, no legs. Fish, no legs but fins. Understand? So this side we have 2 animals, this side we have 3 animals. Okay, we will take one side first. I'm going to take this side. Dog and elephant. There are so many differences between dog and elephants, right? So I'm going to take with a trunk, without a trunk. Without a trunk. Right. So, elephant has the trunk. Here elephant. And here dog. So, can you divide this side anymore? This branch we have only one animal. Even at the end of this branch we have only one animal. Right? So, this side is completed. We are moving to the other side. Okay? Right. So, here we have 3 animals, parrot, cobra, fish. I'm going to take with wings, without wings. Who has wings, children? It's very clear. Parrot has wings. And cobra and fish, they don't have wings. Okay. Now this side is completed because there's only one animal here. Therefore, I'm going to take the last side now. Right. How can we divide? I'm going to take with fins and without fins. With fins, without fins. Now can we take a characteristic like Scales. We can't because cobra and fish, they both have scales. Okay. So, with fins and without fins. Who has fins? Fish. And cobra. So did you understand this, children? How to answer this type of question? I hope now it is very clear because we did many dichotomous keys as examples now, right? So in this way, we have come to an end of the lesson. So I hope you understood the lesson really well. Now we will go see what is the summary of the lesson, what we have done so far, right? So under this lesson, we learned that there are living things as well as non-living things in the environment. The special name given to the living things was organisms. And we learned that organisms can be classified into three major groups as plants, animals and microorganisms. And we learned some characteristics of living beings. What are the characteristics? Growth, nutrition, respiration, movements and reproduction. Right? Non-living things, they don't show these characteristics. Understand, children? There are many differences between plants and animals. I hope you remember we wrote down in a certain table what are the differences between these plants and animals. There is a vast diversity among animals as well as among plants. We learned according to the habitat, according to the external features, what are those differences. Dichotomous key can be used to classify and identify plants and animals. We practice different types of dichotomous keys. We did a lot of examples under dichotomous keys. I hope it's very clear now. To understand what we have learned better, now we are going to do some exercise.